Well, hi Stampers, and welcome to my Stampin' Basics video series. We've been moving right along. We've talked about cardstock and inks and different types of stamps. The last couple we talked about coloring and all different ways to color. Today it's all about embossing, and we're going to take the mystery out of embossing being difficult because it's such a fabulous look that will totally wow your family and friends when you emboss on a card. So before we get started, I just want to remind you to make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get all of these Stampin' Basics videos as well as the quick tip videos I do, and then you never know what else I show videos on. Today's project that I'm showing you will also be in a blog post with all pictures of the card and all the details, and I'll have the link in the description of this video to that blog post so you can get all of those details as well as all the supplies in case you'd like to order them and make this card yourself. So let's get started. I'm going to flip the camera down and show you how to emboss. To heat emboss, there are four main things you need. First off, we need embossing powder, and it just comes in a little jar like this. This will last you forever. I can't even tell you the last time I bought any. But what I like to do is keep my powder in a little container like this. It makes it so much easier for scooping it up and using it and saving what you don't use, which you'll see in just a second. Then you need the Versamark pad. The key here is you need an ink that dries slow because we're going to stamp with it, and then we're going to put powder on top of it, and we need time so that that powder can stick to it. You need a heat tool to melt the powder, and then what I think is one of the most important, kind of forgotten about things is the embossing buddy. And it's just this little fabric pouch that has some powder in it. But what this will do is ensure that you don't get specks of embossing powder sticking to your card where you don't want them. There's nothing more frustrating than embossing this beautiful image and then you got specks of powder. So I'll show you how to use that as well. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and make a project today. I have a piece of Tranquil Tide cardstock. Now you don't have to worry about writing down what I'm using or my dimensions or anything because I will have photos of the project as well as all the supplies that I use and cutting dimensions and everything in a blog post, and in the description of this video will be a link to that blog post so you can see everything I need. If you need to order anything to make this card or just do embossing, you'll be able to shop online right there. So we are using the Thoughts and Prayers stamp set. And like I said, I have a piece of Tranquil Tide here. Step number one is to take this embossing buddy that I was talking about, and you're going to just rub it across your card where you're going to emboss. Essentially what this is doing is taking the static out of the cardstock so that that powder doesn't stick where we don't want it. So just give it a gentle rub. This little guy, I bet you I've had this thing for 10 years. So it's not like it's gonna ever run out. So we'll set that aside. Next thing we're gonna do is grab our stamp here and our Versamark ink. Now with this ink, I always like to ink upside down. I think you can get much better coverage. I think I said earlier, it's kind of a sticky ink. If you try to do it this way, that pad wants to stick to it. You never know if you're getting it inked up really good. So upside down, I think, is the key. So we ink that up really good, and then we're going to stamp that where we want it. Give it some good pressure. Make sure you're kind of getting out to the sides, the edge, the center. Hold it there, get a good transfer of ink. I'm going to work kind of quick because I'm actually using two stamps here. So we're going to ink up this one, my greeting, because I want that on here at the same time. So ink that up good. Then we'll take our embossing powder and we're going to just scoop it up. This is why I said I like this container. See how I can just use my spoon, cover my card, cover my images, and then you just let it all fall off. Upside down, tap it, and you'll see I didn't get pieces sticking where I don't want them. That's what that embossing buddy did. Otherwise I could have little white specks in different places. So we have the white embossing powder that we used on this one. Next, we're gonna grab our heat tool and turn it on, and you're gonna just take your heat tool. Once it's heated up, we're just gonna kind of keep moving it around. You'll see all of a sudden this powder is gonna start melting and it'll become shiny. Oh, see if we can pick it up. You can see it starting down here on the trunk. Once it starts, it goes really fast. So just keep moving your heat source around. You don't want to hold it on the image for too long. Once it's heated up and shiny, it's done. Move your heat away from it. Otherwise, you'll melt it too much and it'll get flat. And we want a nice raised, shiny image. So you can see with the last little bit down here, And I think we're done. And that is all there is to heat embossing. Now let me show you the project I made. I took that piece of Tranquil Tide, I layered it with some Whisper White to kind of pop this white embossing. It's a very simple card, okay, but I thought, you know, for the words and the occasion I'm making it for, just simple and elegant. And then on the inside, I just have a Whisper White layer, and I used some Tranquil Tide ink to coordinate with the front, and just finished it off with the greeting on the inside and a few of the little branches with flowers. So it's that simple to emboss, and it is just this beautiful, you can feel it, it's raised, it's shiny. It just adds so much more to your card. So are you ready to give embossing a try? Have I taken the mystery and the scariness out of it? It's simple, it's really not messy. You know, those little containers really help to contain that powder, and it really gives your card a wow factor. Now I did very simple embossing. You know, make sure you subscribe to my channel because I've got some other embossing ideas that I'm going to share with you. Ways to emboss and then kind of up your game and combine that with watercoloring or backgrounds or emboss resist. There's so much once you know the basics of how to emboss. So any questions about this or anything else having to do with Stampin' Up, make sure you get a hold of me. I am a full-time Stampin' Up demonstrator. My passion is teaching you to make stamping simple. So any questions, let me know. Or if you're looking for a Stampin' Up demonstrator, I'd be honored to be that person and help you with all of your stamping needs. So I'll be back next week with another Stampin' Basics video, and I look forward to sharing more stamping with you. Have a stamp happy day.